Good morning, everybody. This is Eureka John with Eureka Street Crypto Hub, broadcasting live on Theta TV on Friday morning, 6:14 in the morning on September 10th, 2021. And yep, I'm broadcasting from Leander, Texas, and been doing this consecutively. Haven't missed a beat. Haven't missed a morning since February 6th, 2021. And then I started broadcasting in general last October 24th, 2020. So it'll be going on a year that I've been doing this. And it's been a rowdy, interesting, amazing year. And I've learned a whole lot about technology, about crypto, about life, about getting up early, about the way I speak, and how to articulate things and concepts and put them together. And it's been really fun. So thank you to everybody who has followed along and watched this. I would love to learn more about you guys, actually. So I know a little tiny bit about a few of you, but aside from that, it's just been me rambling, and you guys probably know me pretty well by now. And I don't feel like I know any of you all. And if you're waking up every single morning or a lot of mornings and you're kind of having this crypto coffee with me, like I said, you probably know a lot about me and I don't know anything about you. So that being said, nothing I say on here is financial advice, or I'm not even teaching. I'm not trying to teach you anything. I'm just talking about crypto and the stuff that I've learned, and I try to read at least an article or two every day. Sometimes I'll get more put together and actually present on one particular concept or topic, and other times I'm just flipping through articles that I read that I found interesting, like on Twitter and stuff. So that's the show, and it's a stream of consciousness. I did last night. I stayed up till almost midnight, like 11:50. I went to bed. That's pretty unheard of for me. I generally go to bed around 8:30 or 9, sometimes 10. I just try to. I think rest is important, and you're 10 times more productive if you get good rest than if you burn the midnight oil. Like, a lot of people take a lot of pride in that type of stuff, and then they sit there and they just brag about it in a way, and they're just not as productive. So if you get good rest and good sleep and you eat well and you exercise, you will find amazing how much things that you get done. And I'm not trying to preach at you. I'm just stating a fact, So, and I have also noticed how much I say, So anyway, let's take a look over here at this crypto market. Today, I'm going to focus a little more on creating your own live content, because last night I stayed up late creating this new podcast episode called Madeverse Think Tank, and I'm working with Camilo Echeverri and Nicholas Weber of the Meta Game Hub DAO, and they run the Meta Hub Game Hub DAO. They're the founders of it, and the concept behind that is for people to be able to pool together their resources in order to be able to buy virtual real estate in games like Decentraland right here, for instance. This just popped up. And in games like the Sandbox, and maybe in games like Crypto Voxels and other stuff like that. But that's becoming a huge thing now, is the Madeverse, and people being able to go into these lands. People have been able to post their art, buy and build houses, and buy and build virtual real estate, and to be able to own those. But now the real estate is actually becoming pretty expensive. So there's a way that the Meta Game Hub DAO is making to be able to pool together people's resources to own tokenized real estate within the Madeverse, and it makes it affordable to everybody. And this is what the Meta Game Hub DAO is about. And I covered this project briefly on one of my shows, and I got into talking with Camilo and Nicholas there, and we decided to create an entire show series called the Madeverse Think Tank here, and talk about the Madeverse and the concepts around it, because even Mark Zuckerberg, he has decided that he wants the focus of Facebook to start leaning more towards being a Madeverse company rather than a social media company. I mean, to me, Facebook's kind of big brother anyway. I got off Facebook quite a while ago. I mean, I still have a profile over there. Sometimes when I work on my laptop, I'm still logged in. I don't even know if I could. I've tried logging in on a couple other devices and I just forgot the password, and I don't feel like going through all this verification information to try to remember it, because they try to, I can't remember what the requirement is, but it's getting pretty complex, and trying to recover your password. So yeah, I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. I don't want a Facebook password. So, but yeah, Facebook is going from a social media company to becoming a Madeverse company, which is what Mark Zuckerberg's end goal is. And he seems to be wanting Facebook to kind of become the Madeverse. In a way, he wants Facebook to become the Coca-Cola of soft drinks. Because I know in Texas, we say, would you like a Coke? Hey, the waiter, at your table say, what would you like to drink? And then the person ordering would say, I'd like a Coke. Okay. And then she or he would say, well, what kind of Coke do you want? And then you say, well, I'll take a Sprite, or I'll take a Pepsi even, or yeah. So in Texas, that's how it is. I know in other parts of the United States, they say soda pop and all this other stuff, a fountain drink. But in Texas, everything's a Coke. And so, and also, if you want to take a copy of a piece of paper, that's a Xerox copy. Xerox is a company, and so Facebook is wanting to be the Madeverse. And I don't know, that's kind of like nicknames, does real good nicknames are not something you assign to yourself. I mean, I actually assigned Eureka John to myself, and sometimes I really kind of rethink that. But a real good nickname is something that somebody else gives you. You got to earn a nickname, and Facebook is kind of trying to, just like Coke, and I guess in a way it kind of earned regionally the fact that the Coke represents a fountain drink, and Xerox, because of their market dominance, and because there really wasn't, what are you gonna say? I'd like a Rico of that, or what are some other Xerox machine companies? I really can't think of any. It's a Xerox. I'd like to take I'd like a Xerox of that. Can you bring me a Xerox of that? So Facebook is intentionally trying to create and position themselves to be the Madeverse. And that's not necessarily a good thing, I don't think, just because I don't really like a lot of Facebook's practices, especially when it comes to censorship. So what Camilo and Nicholas and I set out to do is to create a little series called the Madeverse Think Tank. I don't know how many episodes we're going to go in, but we're going to go in at least 5 episodes and dig into the Madeverse and talk about what it really is and some concepts around it. We're going to talk about Madefi, which is we're doing that next week, which is kind of like DeFi, decentralized finance. But Madefi is kind of what they're doing with the Meta Game Hub DAO by creating a finance system in the Madeverse. And it's not going to be owned by them. It's just going to be a concept like decentralized finance, but it's the ability to own land in there and to use it as collateral to borrow against and stuff like that, and to tokenize land and items within the Madeverse and NFTs within there, and to buy and sell on the marketplace and stuff like that. So that's Madefi, and we're going to go into that next week. But first, we just wanted to spend this week just kind of introducing the concept of the Madeverse to people, because it really is a word that's just thrown around. So yeah, you can listen to this first episode if you want, and I did it in podcast form too, right here on Podbean, and I'm going to be getting it distributed out on Apple and Google and Spotify and all that type of stuff. So I'm just learning how to do all this stuff and just kind of expanding out my tool set, and it's been, like I said, an interesting year. So I'm going to go through the CoinGecko right here and look at some prices. But after that, I want to focus this episode on ways that you can possibly create your own content, and really easily and almost free, if not very cheaply, if you want to do some more bells and whistles. But yeah. Yesterday I chopped up as well somebody else's podcast that they sent to me, and I took out the ums, ahs. I cleaned up the audio, did an intro for them and stuff like that. And yeah, I was happy to do it. I did it free. I'm not expecting anything, but I want people to create their own content and to be able to express themselves, because right now it's more important than ever to create your own content in the face of all this mainstream media that is just straight up lying to you. Nothing you see on the television coming from Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or anything is accurate. Nothing they say about all the current situation going on with the Rona and with all these lockdowns and this variant spreads and all that crap, none of it is true. So turn off your TV. Nothing they say about all this testing numbers and all that stuff is true. None of it is accurate. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of doctors and nurses and all types of people from all ranks of society trying to speak out against it, but it just gets squashed down. So now is more important of a time than ever to get your voice known, and that's basically what I'm doing. And I'm not necessarily trying to make this show a protest or anything. I'm just talking about crypto. Then maybe some things in my life will come out with that. And you can focus on a particular topic, or you can talk about life in general, or you can talk about your car even. My dad watches a lot of these shows about old cars and stuff like that because he's always been a hot rodder. And through that, a lot of people end up talking about their life and their views and stuff like that. And I know a lot of that has come out in my show too. But everybody has a story. And so I'll get back to that. Let's take a look here. The crypto market's in a healthy retrace right now. Bitcoin's down at 46,186.72. Ethereum's at 34.82. I actually got paid at midnight last night, so I'm going to be buying some crypto today during this dip. I'm definitely making sure I'm buying some. Solana's at 210, sitting at number 6, definitely making its way up there. Cardano's 257, Binance 415, Polkadot 2875. So it's a good time, but Chainlink's barely been touched. It's down to 27.85. Let's see where we are here with a lot of these. Theta Networks at 694. Cosmos at 2280. We have Monero at 262.18. Another good one to jump in. Aave 336.54. It seems pretty low for what it's been lately. The only one that hasn't really gone down much is Quant Network. It's actually gone up dramatically, 63.1%. Glad I got in that one. I did. Hedera Hashgraph has actually been up too, up to 32 cents. I actually bought that one at the top, like at 44 cents. So yeah, I bought it at 10 cents and 44 cents. So I'm not doing terrible at it, but oh man, but you can't win them all, right? So Synthetics is at 11.16. So yeah, if you noticed and you decided this last bull run that you're like, okay, I think it's time for me to get into crypto. Hopefully you didn't buy at the top and you're like, okay, this next dip I'm going to jump in. Well, this is the next dip. So I'm not telling you what to do. It's obviously not a financial advice, but it's a good time to jump in, I think, in my opinion. That being said, like I said, I'm creating content about this stuff, and I stayed up late last night editing the Madeverse think tank videos and editing somebody else's podcasts. And I'm a member of this Bankless DAO in here. And in this Bankless DAO, we have a channel within the DAO that I'm actually project lead on this channel. And it's called the Podcast Accelerator and Incubator. And we're going to be putting out podcasts from the Bankless DAO as think about it like kind of an open mic night. And you create the stage, you create the venue. You can even put a couple of your guitars up there, and you can let anybody from the crowd or from the community just go up on there and play a song or two or whatever, and have it rotate around. And that's basically what we're going to do here. And we're providing the platform on Podbean and stuff like that. And we're providing some of the branding for Bankless DAO and the audience and all that. and we're going to be allowing people to pitch to us their podcasts, and we'll put them in the rotation basically. And it's right now we're just now getting it started and testing it out with Humpty's podcast called Crypto Sapiens, and he has about 5 episodes in the can. We're getting all this started and getting the gears and the work process and the workflow started, and then we'll starting to curate some possible other shows, and then from there we'll be a little more liberal with who we let on and stuff like that. But we're getting all the process flowed down. But it's been a really fun and a learning experience, and it helped me to create this Madeverse think tank right here by learning some of the process. So I have created this in podcast form too, and this will be going up on Spotify and Apple and Google and all that stuff. And I'm doing that by using this tool here called Podbean. And it's a great way. You can open up a free account it won't cost you anything, and all you need is a laptop and a microphone. It took me to my my dashboard, but and you can just record something, and there's all types of explainer videos and instructions on how to do it well, and do's and don'ts and stuff like that. Why would you start a podcast? And yeah, you can do it for free. And this is audio only. So if you're scared of being on video, and it is weird because even though that I'm just sitting here behind a desk and talking to you through this microphone, it still feels like I'm on stage a lot of times. And especially whenever I see the chat rolling by, and then I realize, oh wow, there's people like that are actually listening. And then when I start all throughout the day seeing views on my YouTube, and there's that internal voice that says, God, man, I said something stupid, or I sound like an idiot, and oh man, this is a bad idea. And you know, oh well, people will think. What will people think about this? Am I going to be labeled? That's a huge thing too. And especially when I start to talk about current events, I hate to be pigeonholed into one particular political side or anything like that, because I don't really see myself as political. I see myself as apolitical. Yes, I do have some views about something, but I don't think that my views really fit into one political side of things. However, I do have a solid stance on everything that's going on with the lockdown and on all this situation with this. I don't even want to say the words because it'll be censored on YouTube and shut down. But everybody knows how to get around that by saying stuff like VAX and stuff like that. I mean, I definitely have some. Yeah, I believe we are at the point now where we do have to pick a side on stuff like that. But there's, like I said, so much bad information coming out directly that's straight up propaganda and lies that it is now the most important time to get your voice out there. So YouTube is free, but you have to be careful with YouTube. There are decentralized platforms that you can use called one is Odyssey.com, and there's all types of stuff on Odyssey.com that you can jump into, but it's a decentralized platform. It's completely uncensored, and it is a great place to see. There's everything from really organized professional shows on here to just people with a camera, and a lot of times I will trust just people with their iPhone camera more than some well polished organized news machine, because this is just somebody's personal testimony basically. Well, it's not fact. Well, okay, maybe it's not like statistics, but you can lie with statistics really easily. But somebody's personal testimony, like here's blood blisters breaking out now, and I think they're talking about the VAX here, and it's just people's personal testimonies and stuff like that. And a lot of people have nothing to lose at this point, or they have everything to lose, and they're still up there testifying about their experience going on with this and trying to warn people. So Randy here says, we're in a war of words. CDC just changes the meanings of vaccines. Yeah, CDC's changing stuff back and forth. There's no way I'm going to be sticking stuff in my arm that has been even the definition of it has been changed, not just once either. And then now they're saying that the testing doesn't actually find what it's looking for, and can be confused with the flu. And then now, oh no, we need and then much less a variant. I mean, there's been nurses testifying all over the place that they don't even test for any type of variants. There's all types of bad information coming out, and nobody can make up their mind from the authorities, and it changes every month or two. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing what they're recommending me to do, and especially when it comes to my health or my kids' health. So yeah, at this point, the whole novelty of there is a killer germ out there that is wreaking havoc has run its course. Now they're at the point where you have to get that JAB in your arm, and you have to refresh it in order to be employed every 3 to 6 months, and it's going to continue going for the rest of your life. So yeah, anyway, so now is the time more than ever to make your voice be heard. And you don't have to sit here and take a stance on this type of stuff. You can at least just tell your story. You can live stream on Odyssey. You can record just on your laptop or your computer with your camera or your microphone and put it up on Podbean. You can even float TV right here. It's a decentralized social media. You can go on here and you can live stream on Float, or you can just post up your videos as well, or just your tweets. It's almost like a Twitter type of feed. Let's see, there's BitChute as well. That's another one that's decentralized and free. And let me go into BitChute. Well, I don't know if BitChute is decentralized, but it's definitely not censored for sure. So you can go into BitChute, and yeah, and there's all types of content on here that is absolutely not censored. And then if you want to search for things that are not censored by Google, you can use Presearch. And Presearch is an amazing search engine that does not give you censored results. I know there's DuckDuckGo, but again, DuckDuckGo is it's owned by Bing, which is owned by Microsoft and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. I mean, it seems to be good enough, like a Band-Aid, but definitely use something like Presearch. And I know there's StartPage, which is another search engine. And I know there's some others out there. I just don't know what they are. And so, yeah, these are other ways that you can get around this current system. Yeah, it's getting pretty obvious now. It's getting to the point where you, if you don't see what's going on, it is straight up cognitive dissonance. And yeah. So, I mean, but either way, just get on and start telling your story. And like I said, record it. If you want me to help you polish up your podcast, for instance, like my parents, they could get on. And if my parents watch this, I guess every morning they watch the YouTube version. And maybe they could tell the story about how they adopted 6 kids on top of their already 3 kids. So we ended up with a family of 9, and how they saw that on the news in the 1980s, and they felt inspired to adopt the kids. So they put it in an application, then kind of forgot about it for a year. Then suddenly, oh, hey, we're chosen. Yeah. So, and I ended up with a family full of 9 kids for the rest of my young childhood up until, I left the house. And then maybe they could talk about how they hired a bunch of communist refugees from Romania in my dad's metal shop, and helped them to run from the Ceausescu regime at the time. And that's pretty amazing. Those are stories that you could tell, and that people would want to hear, honestly, especially about the communist regime. I've been listening to this show called Eastern Border, and it's on Spotify, and this is a really interesting podcast. I don't just listen to crypto stuff. Let me see here, right here, Eastern Border podcast on Spotify. So I don't just listen to crypto stuff. I listen to the history of the Roman Empire. I listened to the history of the Byzantine Empire. No, this is not it. I guess that's some band. Let me find this other one. Let's see. Eastern Border. No, it's a single. Let's see. Podcast. I'll just do podcast. And then this is a young man from Latvia who's sitting here talking about his experience growing up in Latvia, but is talking about basically the USSR and communist Russia and stuff like that. And it's been really interesting to talk about. And there's one particular episode that talks about how people got money over the border. And it's a really interesting, fascinating episode. And it made me think of Bitcoin, but what they did in a way to smuggle gold and platinum and even US dollars out of Russia at the time, because people weren't allowed to own too much. And you will own nothing and you will be happy, is what they're trying to implement with the Great Reset. But at the time, back in the 70s and in the early 80s and stuff like that, and even in the 60s, they weren't really allowed to own too much. So people were trying to emigrate, to leave from the USSR, and they were trying to take their money with them. So people were getting busted, taking gold and platinum and stuff like that out. And people found very creative ways to do it. There's some story about somebody who rewired all the cables in his car with platinum strands, and the KGB and the Border Patrol and all that stuff knew that something was up, because he said he really wanted his car to leave it, but his car was basically like the equivalent of a Honda Civic, and so not I don't know, an Accord, a Honda Accord or something like that, and or Toyota Corolla, and he really loved his car, but they were looking at that car, they're like, man, something is up. So they searched up and down that car, they took it apart and reassembled it bolt by bolt, and they could not figure out what the deal was, and the guy ended up getting the car out, and he ended up smuggling out tons of platinum through the screws and through the cables in the car, and that was one way to do it. But with Bitcoin and with crypto, you don't really have to do it that way. All you have to do is remember your seed phrase. And some Jewish people in Russia at the time, they bought a bunch of US dollars, and you can't just go to an exchange back then and just buy a bunch of US dollars and stack them up. But they got their hands on a bunch of US dollars at the time because the ruble wasn't worth jack squat. So they ended up taking all these US dollars and wrote down the serial number on every single US dollar bill. I'm sure it's more than one, probably hundreds. And they wrote down the serial number on a ledger, pretty much, and they burned all the dollars. And then they went over the border, and they're like, we don't have any money on us, So then once they got out of the country, they went to the local United States embassy, and they explained their situation to the people at the embassy, and then they showed them the serial numbers for all the money. And obviously the United States wanted to support refugees from the USSR at the time, and they got their money back. So in a way, that kind of reminds me of bridging and creating bridges between layer 1 and layer 2 solutions, between blockchains for interoperability. Because whenever you're wanting to bridge a token, say for instance, or even to wrap a token. So say for instance, you want to take your Bitcoin and use it on Ethereum. So what happens to that Bitcoin is it gets locked up on in a smart contract, and then it gets reproduced over an Ethereum. So, or in some cases in bridges, it gets burned on one chain. So say you're moving something from Zilliqa over to, or let's say you're moving something from Solana over to Ethereum. So you take that Solana and you burn it, and then you create the equal amount of that token on the Ethereum blockchain. And that's kind of what they're doing there. They burnt the US dollars over in Russia, and they kept the serial numbers, and then they went over to the embassy, and then they reproduced those dollars at the exact same amount and denomination. And that's basically what happens whenever you create a bridge between two blockchains like Solana and Ethereum. You have to burn the currency on one blockchain, and then you have to reproduce it on the other blockchain. So that's what happens under the hood. It's not necessarily that you are moving some Solana over to Ethereum, and you're not even moving that exact same token. You're burning and reproducing, and that's all a bridge is between two different blockchains. And so I found that kind of an interesting analogy of what the Jewish people were doing as they were leaving the USSR at the time in order to flee persecution. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. I would highly recommend that. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can create and talk about, and it is more important than ever. So yeah, especially with what's going on. So Podbean, Odyssey, BitChute. You can use YouTube. You can stream on YouTube. If you just want to talk about cars and baseball cards or whatever you're interested in, then things in your life and your perspective will come out. It doesn't have to be political, and you don't have to be an amazing speaker. If you want me to go through and clean up some of your audio, as long as it's not like 2 hours long, I'll be happy to do that. I don't care. I'll sit down and take an hour or two and just chop it up and send it back over to you as an MP3. And I definitely want to help you guys out to create your own content. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a voice, and some of the art of all this is just learning how to use that voice in a great way. Because, like I said, you don't have to be an amazing public speaker or anything like that. Over time, that you may develop into a good public speaker, and if not, then you have editing tools to help. So, all right. Well, that being said, I'm gonna hang it up for today. Tomorrow, I have an interview with the founder of Rug Zombie, and Rug Zombie is right here, and this is that protocol that allows people to create an NFT out of all the dead tokens that they were left with during a rug pull of investing and aping into some completely crappy project. So Rug Zombie allows you to lock them up in some kind of decentralized finance type of protocol and generate NFTs from that. And who knows, maybe those NFTs will be worth something in the future. So at least put some of your dead tokens to work through Rug Zombie. So tomorrow I will be talking to the founder of Rug Zombie and kind of get his perspective, because it is a really interesting project. All right. Well, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Let me put on my outro music right here. And yeah, you all have a good day. And let me know if you need any help creating some of your own content. I'll be definitely happy to help. All right. Bye.